So the other day I was watching that rematch between the Warriors and the Grizzlies, and with 10 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, it was a 2-point game. I was thinking to myself, okay, here comes the Warriors. But then 10 minutes later, it was a blowout loss again in the fourth quarter, on the road, again. I immediately turned into the Hulk when the fourth quarter buzzer sounded and went on a rampage because the Warriors have been downright horrible these days, losing left, right, and center, and with the playoffs just around the corner, this isn't good for the health of Warriors fans. Not at all. But all hope isn't lost because the silver lining of all this is Golden State isn't too far away from becoming absolutely scary again. And I'm serious. There's actually just a couple of things they could do immediately that would make teams cower at the thought of playing them. So without further ado, I want to jump right into the thick of it. If you haven't noticed yet, Jonathan Kuminga has truly evolved this season. The second-year leap by the young Warrior has turned him into a beast, a cheat code, and if you don't pick him up in next year's fantasy draft, you'll regret it. Because whether or not it's in transition, a dunk at the rim, a mid-range, or a catch-and-shoot three, Kuminga has been doing it all and then some. He must have been training with those ball hog gloves. I mean, look at this play. After catching the ball from Draymond, the 2023 leading candidate for Defensive Player of the Year, Jaren Jackson Jr., stands between him and the basket, but Kuminga don't care. He elevates above the 6'10" center and slams it down with ferociousness for a 2-point bucket. Sheesh, guys. Anyway, key number one is Steve Kerr and the coaching staff need to be inserting him in for more minutes per game. I mean, would it surprise you that they're giving Anthony Lamb just as many minutes as they're giving Kuminga? Yeah, how crazy is that, right? If you don't believe me, just take a look. Since the start of the new year, JK has been scoring in double figures per game on shooting splits of 53% from the field and 44% from three-point range, and yet they're giving him just about 22 minutes per game, which is roughly the same as Lamb. Isn't that just absolute insanity? What is Steve Kerr smoking these days? And can I get some? No, I'm just kidding. Because the truth is, Kuminga is a highlight reel who passes both the eye test and the numbers test. He needs to be on the court for 30-ish minutes per game if the Warriors want to instill fear into the eyes of the opposing teams again. Step 2 is, and I hate to say it, but they gotta waive Andrew Iguodala and make him an assistant coach or something. I know he's part of Golden State's original death lineup, but dang, guys, he's 39 years old now, is shooting 11% from three-point range, and on top of that, he just fractured his wrist and is out for the remainder of the season. There's absolutely no reason to keep a roster spot for a player who can't play, especially when there's a position that needs to be filled, and that leads to key number 3. The Warriors front office needs to use their brains and sign someone taller than 6'9" for crying out loud. And while they don't absolutely need a big center to win the championship, having one will make the road a lot easier. I mean, as of today, the only players who play the center position are Draymond Green and Kevon Looney, and while they do a great job of it, the truth is having one more rotational big who can come in for 5 to 10 minutes a game and get easy buckets would be huge. Because remember what JaVale McGee did for them years back? He went from a Shaq and a Fool type player to a legit post threat and got easy buckets. I honestly don't know what Steve Kerr and the front office are thinking when it comes to this. It seems like a no-brainer to me. And if you're wondering what players are available, I'm looking at these guys at the moment: Dwight Howard, DeMarcus Cousins, or Nerlens Noel. I know none of these guys are perfect, and in fact, they all have their flaws. But if they're in any sort of NBA shape at all at the moment, and if they could be motivated by Tony Robbins to play hard for limited minutes each game, then adding them to the Warriors roster would be frightening. I mean, Dwight Howard proved that he could let his ego go and be an important part of a championship squad. DeMarcus Cousins gave the Warriors heaps of trouble last year in the playoffs, and Nerlens Noel, well, he's still in his prime, and as we've seen from the Warriors, they're capable of turning players that nobody wants into stars. And speaking of stars, the fourth key is for Jordan Poole to stop trying to play like a superstar and play like a solid star instead. At times, it seems like he's trying to do too much, trying to go for that Steph Curry superhero play, only to either throw up a brick or turn the ball over, which then leads to a transition bucket going the other way. But whether you believe it or not, JP3 can still be the sixth-man star that we saw in the 2022 playoffs. I mean, he still has games that show his potential. 34 points on 20 field goal attempts against the Clippers, 32 points on 23 field goal attempts against the Cavaliers, and 41 points on 23 field goal attempts against the Blazers. He was an all-star in these matches. And if you're wondering what the common denominator in each of these games was, it's that he didn't settle and instead either attacked the rim or went to the line. If Jordan Poole just disciplines himself and makes the safe plays instead of going for those home runs, then that changes the entire complexion of the Warriors bench. And speaking of the bench, the fifth key is none other than Gary Payton II. Once the young glove gets back, the energy is going to change. It's not a secret that one of the Warriors' worst areas currently is their ability to contain the point of attack. Whether or not that's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Trae Young, or Kyrie Irving, the Warriors can't seem to stop the point of attack, and as a result, their defense crumbles. I mean, just take a look here at SGA. He's on the perimeter with the ball and just blows by the initial point of offense like it's nothing and gets the bucket like it's a pickup game at your local rec center. That's way too easy, guys. But when Gary Payton comes back, all of that stops. No guards in the NBA want any part of his smoke. I mean, do y'all remember what he did last season? Time after time after time, he would pick players up full court or get in passing lanes, steal the ball, then get easy buckets in transition. Nobody gets by the young glove. And to prove it, just check out this play right here. Payton initially fights over the screen and stops the first defender in his tracks. When the ball gets swung out for the switch, Payton then stops the secondary defender as well. Sheesh, guys. Talk about a cheat code on defense. I really do miss those days when players would quote-unquote dribble at your own risk. But according to the Warriors, it won't be long until the young glove is back on the scene and, my goodness, the Warriors' defense is going to be unrecognizable to what we're currently seeing. And speaking of unrecognizable, when you combine all 5 keys here with this next one, just like Steph said years ago, nobody is going to want to see them. I'm talking about the return of Andrew Wiggins. Honestly, a lot of media people who say the Warriors are toast and a lot of online people who say the Warriors are done wouldn't be saying that stuff if Wiggins was still in the picture. Yeah, I mean it. Wiggins is a hooper, he's a bucket getter, he's an X factor. You know, if Steph Curry didn't have that Game 4 masterpiece performance in the finals last year, there could be an argument made that Andrew Wiggins was the finals MVP. He's just that impactful. I mean, on D, just like Payton, he provides something the Warriors desperately need, and that's elite on-ball defense. Like, it was him last year who was the primary defender on the Celtics MVP candidate, Jason Tatum. It was him who turned even the cyborg, Kawhi Leonard, into an inefficient shooter. Then, when it comes to offense, when the outside shots aren't falling, he's the one reliable Warrior who they can dump the ball to in the post for easy buckets. Like this one here. As Wiggins gets positioned down low, Looney passes him the ball. From there, it's just 2 dribbles and a 10-foot fadeaway practice drill. I know Clay can do this, and I know Kuminga is starting to learn it, but as of now, Wiggins does it the best. Easy buckets is what I like to call it, and that's something that Wiggins instantly provides the Warriors because of his size, length, and athleticism. 6 keys, guys, just 6. Everyone is running around Chase Center these days like Chicken Little saying the sky is falling, the sky is falling. But the truth is, the light switch isn't too far away. Nothing here is out of the realm of what could happen for the Warriors, and in fact, I don't gamble, but if I were a betting man, I'd say that within the next few weeks, everything I stated here is going to come to fruition. Everything. Then after the Warriors win the chip this season, it might even be Anthony Lamb and Ty Jerome saying, "We're going to get a bag. We're going to get a bag." Okay. You're right. That might be pushing it a little bit too far. But hey, click this video here now, would you?